Everybody get up, no need to cram now. We got a real jam going down, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down. Welcome to the IntelliJAMS. Here's your chance.
What's on, Alex?
Oh, not much. So we had a jam last time, and you felt like we had unfinished business from that last one. So, Adam, what do you want to jam on, and how's it related to that last one?
The prompt that I want to jam on is testing, A/B testing, an art or a science? So you threw out this concept last time that you said marketing is like half art, half science. I would argue A/B testing is no different, half art, half science. So I'd love to jam on that this week.
Oh my God, this is going to be a great jam. And I think the first thing I'll throw back at you is like, how can testing be anything other than like science? I feel like testing, experimentation, variables, hypotheses, like there's so much about testing in general that just like leans itself to science. So, and like, I know I'm way more of like the artist than maybe you are, and you're way more the scientist than I am. So I'd love to know why you like, what part of A/B testing feels like art to you?
Yeah. I mean, let's imagine a situation where I raise the prices on a product. That's going to mean I sell fewer of the product, but at higher margin and higher prices. Let's say it makes me more money, so higher revenue, and makes me meaningfully more money, higher profit. Is that a winner?
I'd like to think yes, but
yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, generally, I would say, yeah, I mean, you're making more revenue, you're making more profit. That's a winner. I love that. That's a great outcome. But then maybe there's this trade-off of like, well, I'm selling fewer. So like, what if part of my goal is to just like get more of my product out there in the wild? I want more people. There's an LTV component here. There's a brand equity component of like, you know, maybe my thing is bumper stickers, and like the more of my bumper sticker that I sell, there's going to be some sort of like growth loop here where if I sell fewer bumper stickers, maybe less people are going to see those bumper stickers and want to go buy my bumper sticker in the future. So there's definitely going to be some of these like unintended consequences. And that was like a pretty easy example where like, hey, it was like making more revenue, making more profit, and yet there's still this nuance here. I run into this thing all the time where someone's like, well, should I raise my prices or lower my prices, like based on the outcome of this test? And it's not always that clear, you know?
That's real. Okay. You got my brains turning on a few things now. So like, yeah, like, yes, obvious winners when you just look at the numbers, but when you think about your business holistically, like from a marketing perspective, a brand perspective, say I have an established catalog and I just released a new product. I might actually want to not make as much money on that right now, maybe in the first 2 weeks of the launch, because I just want to blitz the market. I want everyone to have this in their hand. I want everyone to be talking about it. And there's value to me of just moving as many units as possible, even if it's, now, I'm not a dummy. I don't want to be like losing. I don't want to do this massive blitz and like lose money on it. But maybe I'm okay taking less revenue on that run because I'm going to make it up with that awareness play.
And what if I told you that, like, actually, okay, you made a lot more money when you raised prices, but a lot of that money came from returning visitors and people who already know your product and love your product. And so when you start cutting into the data, actually one of the things you notice is that like when we look at new and returning visitors, it's tanking conversion on the new visitors. No one who hasn't tried this product wants to sort of lurch for that high price point, but all the returning visitors know how amazing it is. That might give you a bit of pause to say, hey, actually, like, this is gonna, it's gonna work great for the short term, but I'm started like kneecapping myself because sort of part of the business is just getting new customers, getting more people in the door who are gonna like eventually become, high LTV returning customers. But if I stop like converting all those new customers, maybe that's like a really bad outcome.
It's so like, I think one thing in there. So I used to do some consulting for D2C brands, and I was working with this one company, and they basically had this one, I don't want to say who it was, but it was a more kind of like involved product. It was something that you kind of had to like learn about. So they had products that were easier to understand, and those were fantastic first time customer products. And like there was this other set of their product catalog that was a little bit more complicated, a little more like involved and harder to understand and grasp. And it's interesting if you start to cut it up like that, and I'm going to run price tests, but I actually only want to segment this price test to returning customers because like, hey, if I do this to the entire group, this is going to
Yeah.
look terrible. But hey, these super high margin products that are harder to understand sell fantastically to people who have made 2 previous purchases.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is that component art? Is that component science? Again, I think is like some sort of blend, but it's starting to go like, yeah, you need to dive deep into the numbers, but like there's kind of like what I'm looking at right now. And then there's like what's just off to the right and what's like a few steps over to the right that I might be blind to.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different interactions that are going on here, and then like even to go from there, it's like okay, you know, well maybe I decide to make a change that affects some of the new customers at the trade-off for getting more profit, get more revenue, and like sort of maybe a better economic model. Maybe then the question is there a different lever I can pull to make up some of that conversion on my new visitors? Like maybe it's a better welcome offer. I raise the price, it's going to affect new customers. And here's some of the art is like, hey, what's the other lever I can pull with maybe it's a better welcome offer for new customers. New customers get 20% off now instead of 10% off now. And actually I have now maybe gotten to even better conversion than I had before at a higher price point with a better welcome offer. And so the returning customers are paying more. And maybe now I've like unlocked even a new tier, unlocked a new level of outcomes. So there's a lot of, this is where the art comes in, is understanding sort of all of the dynamics at play here. And it's, you know, we can put out all the numbers, but sometimes it's not really that clear. And there's just a lot of data to consume and a lot of ways of slicing it, not just all the different metrics, revenue and profit and orders and LTV, but then looking at that across channels and new versus returning and, you know, all sorts of other dimensions. It's can be pretty messy.
As you were saying that, like, there's something that came to mind where it's like you have the data and the motivations. It's like this is what the numbers are telling, like the numbers on the page, the numbers I'm seeing on the screen from running my test. They say this. But then there's like the customer motivations and the customer behavior and like the psychology component of this. Like maybe that's for me where this is, now I'm going to say psychology's art. Maybe it's science, but the psychology of this is like the art component to me, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
that offer, that prompt is really good, but only if I do it in a motivating way to the customer. If I create the right experience and the right messaging around it, only then am I going to see that reflected in the numbers. So again, I think you're totally right. There's like the actual number data set I'm looking at, and then there's like everything that went into like, I hate to use the word conversion here, but like the conversion point. Like, hey, what did they see? What did they consume?
The decision-making
It's
process.
yeah, exactly. Like there's so many inputs that are going to go into that beyond just the price on the page or the promotion. It's like it is an ecosystem of interactions that's going to lead to that.
100%. It is definitely the case that to use this example that you gave, the decision-making process, the buying journey, the like brand experience that you create, there's art and science there. And the pricing is part of that experience. And so we can provide a lot of data and make it as scientific. I would say maybe even after having this conversation, if we went into this both thinking that A/B testing is a science, maybe I'm coming out of this realizing that A/B testing is more art than science after all.
I think there's a lot more art to it than I came into this conversation thinking about.
Yeah, for sure. Fun jamming, man.